Meredo. Ooh.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bear Talk, and today we got the famous.
Oh, wait a minute! I have to do my hair. Wait a minute.
Ali
Let me do like seafood.
And the recent winner of the International Mr. Leather Bear Contest.
Yes.
So let's because I have been reading some stuff. I'm trying to catch up on some stuff. This wasn't your first win. Well, not for this contest, but you done contests before.
I done actually many contests before because one of the things that I noticed when I first started being part of the bear community is that there were no bears of color represented in any way. So I decided to take it upon myself due to a bad experience that I had when I first came into the scene, that someone that was the president of the club that I was trying to check out, my first time there, pulled me to the side and told me, "I'm sorry, but I don't think this will be a good fit for you because there's not such a thing as a black bear." And I wanted to get angry. I wanted to lash out, but the moment that I would have done that, I would have made a scene, and I decided not to. So I left, and while crying in the truck because I felt that this was not right, I said, "Why did you leave, and why did you not say something? Because you're not the one that has the problem. They have the problem." So I decided to come back later on to the next event and become a member. And I became the most visible member of the club at the time. Every time they had a picnic, I would be there. I would cook. I would shake everybody's hand. I would let them know that I was part of this group, like it or not. I was there. As a matter of fact, I was present on the day that they voted the Bear Friendship flag, which was created by Michael Byrne in 1994, if memory serves me correctly, either 94 or 95. But anyway, I took part of voting for that flag, and one of the reasons why I chose that flag is because it delineated all the different colors of the skin of bears, which included brown, black, yellow, and white. So this was a part of me, and I wanted to make sure that I was present for it. So I became visible because I wanted to make sure that we were represented. I never entered any contest with the hopes that I was going to win. But as time went along, people started noticing that I was not trying to be someone. I was being that person. I was not putting on a show. The only way to actually become who you are is showing them who you are and teaching them that you're just another guy and that we belong in this community. So from there, I actually won Mr. Muscle Bear. When I used to powerlift, I became Mr. Muscle Bear, Chesapeake Bay Bear, which is the funny and incredible thing is that the guy that told me that I didn't belong in the bear community was actually in the same contest, running in the same category as me, and I ended up beating. So there is poetic justice, and sometimes karma can be a bitch. After that one, The other contest that I entered in 1996 was IBR, and that was the first time that they had a bear of color in the contest. And later on in 2006, I would end up winning Mr. International Daddy Bear, which was another big honor for me because I was not expecting that whatsoever. Again, I entered the contest for representation and hoping that other bears of color will join. And that's something that I would just wish I would see more often, because we belong. We are gorgeous. We are good looking. We are just as good looking as the bears that they have, from other races there. And we need to represent. But anyway, where was I? Talking about entering other contests. My goal was to encourage other people to enter also, and to combat racism in a way that it was educational, because anger gets shit done, but education is everlasting, because it teaches people the differences between us and them, and also it teaches them how much we're alike. And that's my hope. And I'm hoping that other bears of color enter contests like this and become more comfortable on being seen as part of this community, because we are a vital part of this community. Another thing that I found upsetting, which drove me to enter this contest, is after being part of this community for so long, you go to try to do some research on the community itself, and it's like the contributions of the black bears of color has been basically erased. If you go to Wikipedia right now and do a search on the bear community, and you look on the descriptions of the different members in the bear community, you will find bears, you will find Asian bears or pandas, and stuff like that, but there's no description whatsoever for black bears. And we're probably, biologically speaking, or talking about the animals themselves, black bears are the most diverse of all bears in the world. It's not like, polar bears only inhabit one region of the world. Black bears inhabit a large majority. You also have the spectacle bear, which is the, per se, Hispanic bear. There's no Hispanic bear in that description at all. So we need to change that. That is something that I'm hoping that, with the help of some friends, we'll edit some of the information that is in Wikipedia.
Okay, right. So what made you want to enter this contest?
Well, like I said, I was doing some research, because on my Facebook page, I have friends that are straight, some friends that are gay, and many of them are not aware of what the bear community is. I've been trying to represent the bear community as who I am, not trying to pretend that I'm straight or anything like that. So they know that I'm gay. They know I'm part of the leather community. I'm part of the bear community. And I wanted to give them an explanation, an educated explanation of what that meant to me. So I started doing some research before I start writing my little essay. And when I start doing the research, I was really upset about the fact that all the contributions of black bears and bears of color have been completely erased from Wikipedia. At one point, there used to be information in there about us, not anymore. The other thing that happened almost at the same time, there was a big brouhaha that happened on Facebook from a muscle bear group that posted that they didn't want any Africans, blacks, or Asians in their group. And that blew up in a friend of mine that has been very active in the community from the beginning. Send me a link about this information because I didn't belong to the group, to be honest. And I make sure that people became aware of what these people were doing, because for someone to completely remove people of color from one site because they don't find them attractive is unconscionable. And that happens way too many times, especially now in the age of Agent Orange. I don't call our president by his name. I call him Agent Orange. In this age, racial divide have become more apparent. And the only way that we can fight this is by speaking truth to power. I believe that it's necessary for us to stand up and defend what we believe and make sure that people are aware that we are part of this, that you will not shun us in no corner. Nobody puts baby in a corner. I'm sorry, I'm not dealing with that. So I wanted to represent, and I wanted to be upfront about what I'm about. And I entered the contest just to represent again. I also been dealing and I have told you this before, I've been going back and forth to Puerto Rico to help the Bears of Puerto Rico, a brand new group of leather bears that are emerging after the hurricane. Actually, they've been there all along. The thing is, the hurricane Maria actually brought many elements to Puerto Rico that they never had before. They never had to deal in modern times with a Category 4 hurricane. So Puerto Rico had been devastated, and due to that devastation and the lack of help from the government of the United States, the Puerto Rican people had actually come together to try to help each other, with the exception of the gay in bear community. The gay in bear community in Puerto Rico, unfortunately, have not as much support as just the gay community, because machismo in Puerto Rico actually is very strong, and anyone that don't fit that cookie cutter picture of what a macho is supposed to be, basically is looked down on, and they have no support whatsoever. So I decided I have contacts in the United States. I have been dealing with different groups and organizations, so why not try to help them out? And through that, those steps, I decided the only way that I can help them in a more direct way is by trying to bring a spotlight into their plight, and that's part of what I'm doing also. I want people to know that there's a community there that needs help. So slowly but surely, they have done incredible things. I have helped just a little bit, but many of the successes they have done, from the little bit of help that I put in there, have been their own. They actually started the first Folsom Street Fair in Puerto Rico, which never happened. They have a brand new bar that opened up approximately almost 2 years ago, the Bear Tavern in San Juan. So if you happen to be going to San Juan, you actually have a home, and you're not going to be looked down upon because you're a person of color. Because Puerto Rico, everybody's mixed. Everybody's part of the same community, and we welcome everybody. The other thing that they have been very successful at, from the money they made from the Folsom Street Fair, from the donations that I got for them, donations of leather items and different singlets and stuff like that, from the donations that they got and they sold, they actually opened a brand new library, LGBTQ at the University of Puerto Rico. So they're doing great things on their own. We just need to help them out.
Wow, that's wonderful, man. I remember you talking about the bear side of it, but what about the leather side? What does the leather represent? Like,
well, the leather, the bear community and the leather community in Puerto Rico is very much tied together. It's basically the same way that I was brought up, per se. When I discovered that I was gay, I didn't see myself as most gay people see themselves. And I'm not trying to look down on anyone, because the funny thing is, the friends that I made when I first came out, I made friends with drag queens, leather people, and so on and so on. But I didn't find my identity in being just, the club scene. I found my identity in the leather community and in the bear community. As a matter of fact, the first person that I ever had a sexual experience with, the first thing he told me was, "You're such a cute bear," and I'm like, "What? What is a bear?" And he actually gave me my first issue of Bear magazine, #4. I remember it to this day. And I'm almost like, "Oh my God, this is like hot. This is like the type of guys that I like." But one of the things that I didn't see there was guys like me. It took about 50, I think it was 54 issues before the first black bear was in the cover of Bear magazine. So, it's been a long time coming, baby. But we need to see more of that. We need to see people of color as part of the community. But going back to my self identity, in many ways, I just didn't fit the mold of just being a bear, because I had an interest in leather. I had an interest in motorcycles and rough and tumble, and the rough look, and it enticed me, and always to this day I can't let it go. And many of the bears in Puerto Rico are in the same boat. They all see themselves as more than just part of the bear community. They want to belong to something that is a little more masculine. Not saying that all bears are masculine, because there's like girl, but everybody has a place, and that's one of the things that they and I have in common, and that's one of the things that I find endearing and responsible in a way for. Even though I have nothing to do with their upbringing, I know exactly how they feel, because I went through the same thing.
so going back to your title, for people who haven't seen an international show, how would you explain it to them? Like, are there events? Like, how does the international show work?
Well, this was a lot different than the one that I did with IBR, International Bear Rendezvous, because that one was more international because we have bears from different parts of the world. This one is a contest just started about 3 years ago. So this would be, I would be the third Mr. International, International Mr. Leather Bear. So it's a contest is just starting, and as time goes along, I hope to see more international participation. In this one, I was happy to say that there was another contestant of color. His name was Zerob. He's a member of Onyx, and I was so happy that he was there, because as we were talking, it's like, I hope you get it. No, I hope you get it. I hope you get it. Also, Jeffrey, which I can think of his last name, but he was from Pennsylvania. He was also a contestant. So there were only 3 contestants. The reason why this was so different is because it had a large amount of judges. I think it had 7 judges. They came from different parts of the United States. there were three members of the different leather communities around the area. One of them from Canada. One was Mr. Maryland Leather at one point, who was the head judge. Wonderful guy, which he probably asked me the most devastating question. They have a variety of different questions that actually were meant to find out who you really were. And I really appreciated the questions. The question that really got under my skin, which was left me very emotional, was actually made by Justin. Um, and to this day, is still a little raw because he had to deal with my dealings with my family, which I had the last time that I went to take my mom to Puerto Rico. I basically lost my relationship with my mom, and he asked me what was my biggest failure, and that was my biggest failure. Um, Nothing that I could have done would have changed the outcome. My mom decided to cut ties with me because in her eyes, I didn't help her at all, even though um, she's been living with me and my husband for the last year after the hurricane. But things happen, and I'm hoping that at some point things can change. But one thing that I will say, because very not private, but I'm still dealing with the emotions about it, is that sometimes you have to cut people out of your life because they're damaging you. Even though that might be a parent or someone that is close to you, there are times that you have to make that choice. This was one of those times. I didn't have. I made that choice because I had to, because otherwise I would be in a really bad headspace. But hopefully, time will heal all wounds, and things might change. But for now, um, I'm dealing.
I totally understand what you mean by that because we only got one life and we have to live it happy and we have to live it to the full.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, sometimes it takes cutting people out of your life to have that full life.
Yep.
So
It took me 40 some years to be able to actually figure that message, because all this time I I didn't see it, but my mom has been not a force for good in my life, and sometimes you have to do what is best for you. But anyway, um, as for what's going on now, tonight, unfortunately, many of you won't see this until after it happens. But I'm doing my first benefit at in Baltimore at Leon's, and I'm hoping to take a lot of pictures, post them out, and please pass them around. And be aware that there's other bears of color out there that need your support. Something that I'm asking everyone to do, and I asked you this before. If you know of anyone that has entered a contest in the past, either winning or not, please have them contact me. The reason why is because I'm trying to put together a historical database. Um, One of the things that I'm going to do in the next few months is I'm going to be, first of all, I'm going to be donating the the vest that I won from Mr. International Daddy Bear 2006 to the Leather Archives. In that way, we have a historical record that a bear of color actually won one of these contests, and we have a conversation piece, and we need to have other bears of color that have either entered this contest or won one of these contests, and be part of this history, because otherwise it's being erased, is not being shown, and we are too valuable for that to happen. They've done that in the past. They will do it again unless we change it. We are playing a game. Let's change the rules.
Give out your how people can contact you just in case they do know some information that may help you, so they can contact you directly. Like,
Yes.
Tell the audience, either email or where they
Well,
can reach you.
you can find me at brbs269 at gmail.com.
Okay, so if anybody have any information on Bears of Color that join any contest of any state, whatever, please contact Ali with your information.
Yep.
Now, my question is, why isn't the International Bear or contest televised or recorded? Because that would be something that I wouldn't. This is my only reference at the moment, like Drag Race, sort of.
Oh boy!
But for us, something that, because we hear about it and we hear about the winner, but we never see, like the process or the contestants. Because I think I would like to see that. That'd be like an episode kind of thing on either YouTube or a website or something.
I would love that, but we have to also realize that many of the contests are not televised most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be great, but it takes production. It takes money. It's not as simple as saying, okay, let's go ahead and put this contest together and put it on TV. We need people to actually come up and say, hey, maybe we can actually film this and do a documentary, or because you can do it as a documentary type of deal, which would be a little more cost effective, and
YouTube.
And you would get to your target audience. But to be able to put together something like that, you would have to be able to financially back it. And many of these organizations, they barely have the money to put contests like this together to start with. Many of the monies that are raised in this contest actually go back to the community, because most of them are done as fundraisers. For example, Mid-Atlantic Leather Weekend, which is one of the contests that is coming up in January, which my club puts together. The money that actually is raised from Mid-Atlantic Leather Weekend goes directly to the community. Last year, we donated over $100,000 back to the community. So, it's kind of tough to be able to televise something like this. The only way to be able to do this is basically either crowdfund it or have somebody produce it. So far, nobody has come up to do it.
Well, I was more thinking of YouTube.
That would be good.
Because with YouTube, with television, and if you listen to any of RuPaul's podcasts or whatever, you have restrictions on TV. You have to follow by certain guidelines. So the stuff you may want to show, you probably can't show because of TV. Where with like a website or YouTube, you have a little bit more freedom.
Okay, that is an excellent idea. The question is, who's going to do it first?
But that's the thing. Is with it doesn't have to be a big production value, from the beginning, because we're not trying to be like a TV show. We're trying to be something that the bear community can have something to latch on to. So I would say like maybe a camera and somebody that know how to edit.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it until this like another reference, like where the Bears are. If you look at that first season and you look at what they have now, the quality difference is so much better than what they started. But they use what they had. So if they only had like one camera and an editor, that's work with it until you can do better. But I think it would be a good representation of the bear community.
I think so too. I am a big supporter of bear talent because I know there's a lot of talented writers out there. There's a lot of talented actors in the bear community. There's so much talent out there. The problem is trying to figure out how to approach it. And unfortunately, you have to not be afraid to fail because that's part of it too. To be able to put your heart and soul into something worth a while and not be received properly it's tough. You need to have someone back you up. Netflix,
right, or Hulu, or
Hulu,
streaming.
because I would love to see more, not just bears of color, but I would like to see more content that actually feature people like us, because not everything is. I love RuPaul, don't get me wrong, I love you, but wouldn't you love to see some series about bears or Leatherman or stuff like because it would be incredible. I would really patronize something like that if it was available, but the problem is trying to find the people that would back it.
Right. Well, like I said, sometimes it takes time. Like I said, I'd rather take time and find the best than trying to rush something out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just have to plan it, and like you say, hope for the best. And sometimes if it fails, it fails. But at least we tried something. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's like yesterday I was reading the post from one of my friends on Facebook. He's an actor trying to get into Broadway. Jerry Jones, Young, excuse me. And I feel for him because he's trying to get into Broadway, but there's always seems to be someone that already has that experience, and he can get the break that he needs. I would love to be able to help him out with something like that, but unfortunately, it's when you're a hardworking person that basically works day to day trying to make a living, it's very hard for you to be able to come up with the money to do that. Unfortunately, I didn't hit the Mega Million because otherwise we'd be having a different conversation.
Right. Totally agree. So since the contest, how's it affected your day-to-day life? Like,
Well, I don't let it affect me hopefully in any negative way. I try to make everything positive.
mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm trying to do with my flyers, which, by the way, thank you for helping me out, I try to make it a little more people of color friendly. One of the things that I notice in many advertising is that there's no people of color when it comes to the Bears advertisement. In the last few years, that has changed because we actually raised voice and said, we're part of this community. Why are we're not featured in advertisement that show everybody else, but we're not part of this? So that's one of the things that I want to do is like the flyers. I'm hoping to take pictures of different bears from different areas and use that as content to show that you're welcome. Everybody's welcome at my parties. Hopefully, the next event that I'm doing, which is gonna be on Thanksgiving weekend, which is on the 24th at the DC Eagle, is gonna be a cosplay type of party. I want people to come, dressed up as their favorite superheroes. I want to see a lot of people from the Mbaku tribe, Jabari tribe, excuse me, Jabari tribe. I want to see some Jabari men walking around in their lion cloth. I want to see some Black Panthers walking around. I want to see some Captain America, the Falcon type of outfits. I want to see different things. I want to show that we can be heroic. We can be, everything that everyone wants to be.
Right.
So I'm hoping that brings, a different flavor to the bar nights, because I like a bar night to be fun, to have a different taste instead of the same hum, come get your beer and get some pretzels and stuff. I want people to just enjoy themselves. So that's one of the things that I want to do. I want to bring people together from different walks of life. So I'm hoping that works out.
Okay. So my last question is, what would you tell another bear of color who wants to enter the international Mr. Leather Bear contest?
Do it. That would be the first thing that I would say. Do it. I want to see more bears of color entering contests. I want to see people being themselves, not being afraid of what everybody else is going to say, thinking, I don't fit in here, because that's bullshit. We are part of this community. We've been part of this community from the beginning. I've been talking with people from San Francisco that were there in the beginning of the bear community. Reggie Burns, a friend of mine that unfortunately passed away a few years ago. He was part of the first Bears of Color in San Francisco. Him and his husband, Mike Hoban, biracial couple, but wonderful people. And I want to see more people of color. I want to see Japanese, Chinese. I want to see everybody entering this contest, because you're part of us. We're supposed to be a community that welcomes everybody as they are. It's time we start showing it.